Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to Ask Enki. This is going to be a very quick one, and it has to do with a very interesting gold-like add-on that exists in Blender. So I know a couple of people know about this, but I also know that there's a lot of people that don't know that this exists, and this is the sapling tree. So this tree is an add-on that exists in Blender. It ships with Blender by default, and this is made by Andrew Hale. So if you like to work with this, you can simply hold down Shift and tap A on your keyboard once you have that active within your add-on section, and click on sapling tree within the curve section, and this is going to create something this cool. Now the idea for this is you can create trees here in some sort of procedural way, and on the other hand you can animate these trees. All right, so for those who like to create trees, this is it, and you can start working with it. So right now you can play with the scale. So for those who like to do that, you know, keyframing, you like to animate your tree grow up, yes you can. Now the unfortunate thing is this menu is not dockable, so you have to work within this menu while you can, else once you lose it and you start doing something totally different and you press F9, you definitely wouldn't get it back. Okay, so right here you would also notice that we have the bevel resolution, so you can play with the bevel resolution, and this is for the edges. And if you go all the way down, you would also notice that we have a couple of presets. So willow, there you have it. Let's go all the way back, and then if you're looking for things like the Douglas fir, you can also notice that we have that. And there's also the Japanese maple, which is pretty cool, so you can also use this and have fun working with them. If you like to play with custom shape, you want to play with the branch distribution, you can also choose to play with the branch distribution to get some very cool effects. You can also play with the branch rings, so depending on what you're looking for. And for those who like to get some random seed, okay, this is cool because you can simply use this and generate about 3, 4, 5, 10 different types of this, and use an array to blow the hell out of this around your next project and have fun doing it. All right, so with this here, if you also go all the way up, you see within the settings there's setting for the branches, and the branches deals with radius, splitting, growth, and there's also pruning, leaf, armature, and animation. Of course we're going to talk about these ones, but this for the branch, you can play with a branch radius, so depending on what you like. So if you like this to be a thick tree, tiny tree, yep, you can have fun doing that. And for some reason we just keep getting negative thing, which has to do with the normals. So I think it's just something that happens within the viewport, doesn't stay for long. So if you start cranking up some other things as well, you might be getting some very cool values out of it. So let's go over to this, the splitting. So within the splitting, we can also split a couple of things. Let's say we want to split the branches, split the branches a bit more. So you can go from 3 all the way to 5, 10, 15, 20, and this is going to go ahead and split the branches for you. So let's set this down to 2 where we had it before, and then we can also play with the splitting height. So we can use this and also make some very cool variations, and you can see, and you have all of these things to just dial up and down. Now going down, we're just going to skip all of this to pruning. Within the pruning, you can turn on pruning, and you can prune this up and you can prune this down depending on what you like to make. So depending on the kind of tree that you're going for, you can use the pruning feature to also do some very cool stuff. Meanwhile, while you're pruning, you can also, let's turn this off, you can also go over to leaves, and you can show some leaves. Now the leaves that you're putting in here is directly related to the tree, so you don't get the same kind of leaf across everywhere. So let's say for here we make this by 10, so you can notice that we have 10, and we can also play with the scale of the leaves, so you can play with that, and you can also dial this down, you can push this up, you can have fun playing with it. And you can also notice that once we go back and switch back to the geometry, scroll all the way down and convert this to a willow or weeping willow, you'll notice we have a different tree, and that tree would have a different leaf. All right, so it's going to have a different leaf set. And if we scroll all the way back to geometry and take a look at something else, let's say we're taking a look at maybe the Douglas fir, all right, something like so. If we also do that, select that and go over to leaves as well and turn on show leaves, and simply start cranking this all the way up, of course you can start seeing that, and we can make some changes from here. So we can make some changes from here as well, so you can start seeing that. And with this, you can also go in and crank this all the way up to also get some very cool leaves. So depending on what you like, you know, maybe depending on what you're going for, you have something that you can play with. All right, so with this now, if we also jump over to where we have armature, we can turn on the armature. Now the armature is just joint chains that's creating around this so that you can actually go in and start playing with the animation. You can click on make mesh and it's going to make a mesh, and you can also, let's actually turn that on so you can see. So it's making an extra mesh for us. So we can make mesh and it's going to convert the curves and convert them to meshes, and right here you can play with the armature level. But what we're interested in right now is animation. So if we go over to the animation section and click on armature animation 1, leave animation 2, click on fast preview so we can see what's going on, and press the playback button. This is beautiful, so we can see that. If we turn this off, all right, and press the playback button, and that is how easy it is for you to now make animatable trees across your viewport. So if you have, you know, a couple of projects you're working on and you want animatable trees across it, you know, this is it. Dinner is served and you can have this, right? So once we pause this and we go all the way down, you will notice that we have things like animation speed, we have loopable frames, and there's a couple of things you might want to play with them. And this is for how you would like your animations to be. One more time, try as much as possible not to lose this, because once you lose this and start doing something else, you'll probably not be able to come back. That is just one downside. There's also a second downside, and I'll tell you about it. So if you also want to see your leaves animate, you would probably want to make sure that you have the leaves visible, scale them however you want, but try as much as possible to test out the animation first on your viewport, then set everything how you would like them to be and position that for rendering. All right, that is, you know, that's the best advice I can give you right now, because once you dial things up like so and you choose to jump back to where you have your animation and you simply get the animation happening and you press the playback, you press the playback so you could see a couple of animation for your leaves, you will notice we're already having frame dropping. So imagine cranking this thing all the way up. Your frame dropping is going to be at the all-time high. Okay, so one of the things to always keep in mind is try as much as possible, work with the slowest or work with the smallest details as you can right on the viewport, then extend these things when you want to get crazy for rendering. So let's also take a look at what we can get here, and we're just simply going to say use armature, and with that done, you would notice that once we click on use armature, right over here we have a pose and we have a joint property that has been added. So we can now go over to animation. So let's take a look at that, and then we can click on armature animation. Now once you have this happening, something to keep in mind, all right, is once you click out and you start playing with this, and maybe for some reason you're working and you press the backspace and that goes off, and you start doing some other stuff like that, you will probably not be able to capture this back. Once it's like the first time, you might be able to capture it, but once it's more than the first time, you'll probably not be able to capture it back. So you can just go ahead and press F9 all you want, nothing happens. The only thing that you get here is that this is already ready for animation, and you can just simply start working with it. So it's one time sort of decision making thingy that you should be able, that you should be aware of. Another downside for me about this tool is, even if you're done putting in all the leaves and stuff that you want, these things don't come in shaded, so you would have to shade these things yourself, right? So for those who would like to see shading, you just want that thing. I don't see any form of shading happening on this. So even if you select this and go all the way here, there's no form of shading. And I actually tried saying, okay, maybe the shader is hidden somewhere here. There is also no shading. So except maybe there's something I'm doing wrong, there's literally no shading for this. So this is the second thing that you should also keep in mind. Regardless of these things, you have yourself an amazing tool set that you can use to start doing some very creative and interesting stuff. So you have your animation happening, you have a beautiful tree that you can work with, and this is also for free. Meanwhile, if you are looking for something that you can use to do some very cool stuff, but at this point you want something even more premium, then you should consider taking a look at the BOTANIQ tool. So the BOTANIQ tool also comes with a huge set of stuff which you can work with, and you know, if you're looking for flowers as well, you can get a huge set of flowers. And the funny thing is you can also choose to scatter this, so you can select the plane, right? So click on scatter asset, click right over here where you have the plus button, and you can select any of these things. You know, there's a long preset of things that you can work with, and you can scatter things across your viewport. And this way it's going to be even easier for you to, you know, combine both of them and start getting some cool stuff happening for you. So this is, you know, this is all about it. I'd like to know what you guys think about this beautiful one in the comment section. For those who would like to get this, you can simply, you know, grab a fresh copy of Blender, go over to the edit section, go over to preference, you know, look for the sapling tree, and you'll be able to play with that. And for those that are looking for any of these other add-ons that we've talked about, link is going to be in the description, so you can do well to check these things out. Tell me what you think about this in the comment section. And of course, if you like this video or you learned something from this, you can go ahead and give it a like, and don't forget to share with a friend. And if you're new here, it's going to be amazing for you to hit the subscribe button and also turn on notifications so that you don't miss the next video or the next update. And until I see you guys again with a tutorial update, Free Friday, Tutorial Tuesday, tips and tricks, things like this. Peace.